Hola, bienvenidos a la presentación de síndrome de muerte súbita infantil. ¿Sabes cómo prevenirlo? Cuidemos a nuestros bebés. Esta presentación fue diseñada por la División de Salud Materno-Infantil de la ciudad de Brownsville. Esperemos y lo disfrutes. Comenzaremos con entendiendo el síndrome de muerte súbita del lactante. Comencemos. ¿Qué es SIDS? Por sus siglas en inglés, el síndrome de muerte súbita del lactante es la muerte repentina e inexplicable de un bebé aparentemente sano. Sus principales características es que el bebé tiene 1 año de edad o menos, sin causa clara de la muerte después de una investigación y sin signos ni síntomas de advertencia. Según estadísticas de la CDC, aproximadamente 3.500 bebés en los Estados Unidos mueren cada año debido a muertes infantiles relacionadas con el sueño. Afecta principalmente a lactantes menores de 1 año. Hay 3 tipos de muertes principales. La primera es el síndrome de muerte súbita infantil, que abarca el 37% de todas las muertes. El segundo es asfixia y estrangulamiento accidental en la cama. Esto abarca 28.3% de todas las muertes. Y por último, causa desconocida, que abarca el 34.7%. Determinar la causa. Es necesaria una investigación exhaustiva para saber qué causó la muerte del bebé. Problema por estado 2015 a 2019. A nivel nacional, los estados con el menor índice de este síndrome son Vermont, Massachusetts, California, New Hampshire y Nueva York. En contraparte, los estados con mayor índice son Mississippi, Alabama, Arkansas, Luisiana y Dakota del Sur. En Texas, nosotros tenemos una tasa de 90.4 bebés por cada 100.000 nacidos con vida. Esto significa que por cada 100.000 bebés que nacen en Texas, 90 padezcan este síndrome. Año tras año hemos estado disminuyendo los incidentes por este síndrome. Desafortunadamente, todavía permanece presente en todas las razas, con los indioamericanos y nativos de Alaska siendo la raza más vulnerable a este síndrome y siendo los asiáticos y los isleños del Pacífico los que tienen menores índices de este síndrome. Los siguientes son algunos datos sobre este síndrome. La mayoría de las muertes infantiles repentinas por este síndrome ocurren en bebés entre 1 mes y 4 meses de edad, y la mayoría, el 90% de las muertes por este síndrome ocurren antes que el bebé cumpla los 6 meses de edad. Sin embargo, las muertes por este síndrome pueden ocurrir en cualquier momento durante el primer año de vida del bebé. El síndrome de muerte súbita del lactante a veces se denomina muerte de cuna o muerte por cuna, porque está asociada con el momento en el que el bebé duerme. Las cunas en sí mismas no causan este síndrome, pero el entorno de sueño del bebé puede influir en las causas de muerte relacionadas con el sueño. El síndrome de muerte súbita del lactante es la principal causa de muerte de los bebés de 1 mes a 1 año de edad. Las causas de síndrome de muerte súbita del lactante en los Estados Unidos han estado disminuyendo constantemente desde 1994 en todos los grupos raciales y étnicos. Se han salvado miles de vidas infantiles, pero algunos grupos étnicos aún corren mayor riesgo de este síndrome. Pasemos a nuestra segunda unidad, creando un área segura para dormir para el bebé. ¿Qué es un área segura para dormir? Un área segura para dormir es un lugar donde el bebé puede descansar con seguridad. Nosotros recomendamos que siga el ABC del sueño. A, por su sigla en inglés, alone, significa solos. Los recién nacidos deben tener su propia superficie para dormir. Por sus siglas en inglés, B es de espalda. Los recién nacidos siempre deben dormir boca arriba. Y por último, la C se refiere a cuna. La cuna debe estar vacía, solo el recién nacido, sin almohadas ni juguetes dentro de la cuna. ¿Cómo es un ambiente de sueño seguro? Primero, el área de dormir del bebé debe estar en la misma habitación al lado de donde duermen sus padres. Segundo, use una superficie firme y plana para dormir, como un colchón en una cuna con aprobación de seguridad cubierta por una sábana ajustada. Tercero, el bebé no debe dormir en una cama de adulto, en un sofá o en ninguna silla, ni con usted ni con cualquier otra persona. Cuarto, no fume ni permita que nadie más fume cerca de su bebé. Quinto, no coloque almohadas, cobijas, pieles de oveja ni protectores de cuna en ningún lugar del área donde duerme su bebé. Mantenga objetos blandos, juguetes y ropa de la cama suelta fuera del área de sueño de su bebé. Asegúrese de que nada cubra la cabeza de su bebé. Sexto, vista a su bebé con ropa para dormir, como una manta portátil. No use mantas sueltas y no ate demasiado fuerte. Y por último, siempre acueste a su bebé boca arriba para dormir, para las siestas y por la noche. Veamos el siguiente video de área segura para dormir por la CDC.
Hi, my name is Sharon Parks Brown, and I'm here with my colleague, Carrie Cottengim. We are both scientists in CDC's Maternal and Infant Health Branch, which works to better understand sudden death in infants and ways to protect babies through safer sleep environments. We are both moms, and we're here today in an actual nursery, and we're here to talk about safe sleep environments for babies. You may not know that safe sleep environments are really important for the health and safety of babies. And this is important information not just for the parents, but for any caregiver. So whether that be grandparents, child care workers, babysitters, basically anyone who's going to be caring for an infant, this is important information for them to have. So today we are going to be doing some demonstrations of the key features of a safe sleep environment, and we've got a baby doll here with us to help us with our demonstration. We've got some members of our team who are working behind the scenes to answer your questions, so feel free to type those in the chat box, and we'll be answering those as we go along. And now we'll go ahead and get started with our demonstration. Do you want to start us off, Carrie?
Sure. Let's start by talking about this crib. It's a really cute crib, but there are some things in it that can put your baby at risk for something called sudden infant death syndrome, or SIDS for short. But before we get into all that, Sharon, let's first talk about what's positive about this crib. The baby doll here has been laid to rest on her back.
Yes, so this is a really key point. According to the American Academy of Pediatrics, the safest way for babies to be placed to sleep is on their backs. Now, a question we get pretty often is, what happens if my baby can flip over? And the answer to that is, if your baby is capable of flipping themselves over, it's still recommended that you place the baby to sleep on his or her back. But if they do flip themselves over, it's okay at that point to leave them in that position. Now let's talk about some other key features of this crib, Carrie.
Sure, the crib itself is great. Babies need their own sleep environment to sleep in, like a crib, a bassinet, or a portable crib. They should never share a sleep surface with another person, a child, or even a twin. They need their own surface. The surface should also be firm, flat, and level, like this crib mattress. This crib mattress is great because it fits tightly up against the edge of the crib, and there's no chance that the baby can get wedged in any of the gaps. So you might put your baby in angled devices such as car seats, strollers, or this bouncy seat here. And these items are great for transporting your infant or for even playtime. But if your baby's sleeping, it needs to be moved, he or she needs to be moved to a firm, flat, level sleep surface like their own crib as soon as possible after falling asleep in the device. So, now that we've talked about the makings of a safe sleep environment, Sharon, what can you tell everybody about breastfeeding and safe sleep?
So this is another really common question that comes up when we're talking about safe sleep environments. And we know that breastfeeding is great for both moms and babies, but we also know that it can be easy for moms to get sleepy right after or during the feeds, especially during those first couple of weeks and months when you're getting extremely tired and sleep deprived. So the recommendation is that if you do bring the baby to bed to breastfeed them, that you move them back to their own crib or bassinet as soon as possible before you go to sleep. Now, there are a couple things you can do to help you with this. One of them is to have a partner or a friend or family member who may be with you to help you with that process. So that person can talk to you and, tap you on the shoulder if they see you starting to nod off, or they can also help by moving the baby back to their crib or bassinet if you do nod off. Now, that may leave you thinking, okay, well, what if I'm by myself and I'm breastfeeding my baby? So in that scenario, if you don't have someone with you, just make sure if you bring the baby to bed to breastfeed and you do fall asleep, that you just move them back to their crib or bassinet as soon as you can after you wake up. And there's one other thing to mention about the breastfeeding scenario another one of the recommendations is that babies' cribs or bassinets be in the same room as the caregiver for at least the first 6 months. And this is for a couple of reasons. One, it helps facilitate those round-the-clock feedings, especially the late-night feedings. If the crib is in the same room with the caregiver, it makes it easier to just hop out of bed, feed the baby, whether you're breastfeeding or bottle feeding, and then put the baby back in their safe sleep surface. And that's the other reason that having them in the same room is important, is that it helps ensure that you will move them back to their safe sleep surface when they're done feeding. So we've talked about breastfeeding and the firm flat surface. What else should we talk about here?
Yeah, now we're ready to make this crib even safer by removing the soft items from it. The blankets, the stuffed animals, and the bumpers should all be removed from the crib. The only thing you need in a crib is a flat-fitted sheet. Babies can get tangled in loose items, or soft objects can end up covering their nose and mouth, inhibiting their breathing. So make sure you remove this stuff from the crib. You can use your blankets. They don't have to go on the floor. You can use them to decorate the room. You could hang them on the wall or place them on the floor for supervised tummy time. And your stuffed animals make great decorations or also great toys. But none of these items should be placed in the crib. But now it's getting cold outside and parents are going to be worried about keeping their babies warm. What can we do to keep the baby warm without any blankets in the crib?
So this is also another question that comes up a lot when we're talking about safe sleep environments and removing the soft bedding. So there are a couple things we wanted to point out. The first is that babies don't actually have to have a lot of bedding on them. In fact, they only need one layer more than what an adult would wear in the same room to be comfortable. And it's also actually dangerous for babies to get too overheated. So signs that your baby may be getting overheated are if the baby is sweating, or if you touch them on the chest here and it feels really hot, then the baby may actually be too warm and you may need to remove some layers. But back to your question about how to keep the baby warm as we're moving into fall and the chillier months and we've removed all the blankets. Some of the things you can do to make sure your baby is still warm and cozy but sleeping safely are to use something called a sleep sack or a wearable blanket. So this baby is in a sleep sack here, and you can see she's got her toes all covered up and she's able to be warm and cozy, but she's still able to sleep safely. So now you can see we've got a clean crib, firm fitted flat surface, and this looks great. But I know we've covered a lot of information in a few short minutes. Do you want to summarize our key take-homes, Carrie?
Sure, Sharon. The things that we want you to remember are to always place your baby on its back to sleep in their own sleep environment, like a crib, a portable crib, or a bassinet. Make sure you remove all the soft and loose objects out of the crib, just like we did. And if you can, keep your baby in the same room as the caregiver for at least the first 6 months.
Thanks. So that is all we wanted to share with you today. Thank you again for joining us. Hopefully you've had some questions answered as we've gone along. If you were not able to get your question answered, please feel free to go ahead and type those in the chat box. We'll be working throughout the afternoon to answer any questions that we haven't gotten to. And for more information, please go to cdc.gov/SIDS. Thanks.
Pasemos a nuestra última unidad, reducción del riesgo asociado con el síndrome infantil de muerte súbita. Considere lo siguiente para reducir el riesgo. Obtenga atención prenatal regular durante su embarazo. Evite las siguientes sustancias antes y después del parto. Fumar, bebidas alcohólicas, marihuana y drogas ilegales. Piense en darle a su bebé un chupete para las siestas y el sueño nocturno para reducir el riesgo de este síndrome. Y por último, no dejes que tu bebé se caliente demasiado mientras duerme. Esto significa que debes de vestir a tu bebé conforme a la temperatura ambiental. Y por último, nosotros recomendamos amamantar a su bebé. Existe una fuerte correlación de que la lactancia materna ayuda a reducir el riesgo de este síndrome. Además, la lactancia materna proporciona muchos otros beneficios para la madre y para el recién nacido. Esto concluye nuestro video de hoy. Gracias. Síguenos en Facebook. Y si tienes alguna pregunta, contacta a luis.salazar@brosville.tx.gov. Nos vemos en nuestro próximo video.